Amanda. Wow, I just hey Will, this is Amanda. Amanda
Well,
Beats. Yeah, if you don't know her, Google her. She's one hell of a what are you? How would we describe you, Amanda?
honourable woman with one hell of a story. There you go.
One hell of a story. So, just for everybody who's watching this, we've just had what I believe is potentially a half an hour pre-chat about how I can do things better. And I love that because I've got a whole bunch of time up my sleeve right now. You know, we're in New
Yeah, we all
Zealand. Yeah, exactly. You know, we're here and we're about to go down into lockdown. So I'm going to have 4 weeks where I just feel like you and I are going to have a few more conversations coming up. Amanda has literally just taken me from the airplane I thought I was in and has thrown me outside. I'm now floating, I'm now plummeting down to ground. And then she chucks me my parachute and said, you just grab hold onto it, just work it out and I'll help you as you go. Just 10 seconds. Yeah, here's your first tip. So, wow, can I just say thank you so much. You know, there's nothing quite like a challenge, right? Which is, I
Mm-hmm.
think, exactly where there's a lot of people, you know, I've now got some other challenges. Thank you to you. But there's a lot of people who've got so many challenges right now that they're facing. But before we get into that, what I'm so excited for you, please. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what makes you really, really angry. Tell us what you're doing about it. Just give us your rundown.
Okie dokie. Well, gosh, I always sort of make a little bit of a joke. I just actually spoke at Her Story Women's Empowerment Conference with 150 people. And Kirsty Salisbury, the amazing woman that runs it, said to me, look, what I want you to do is we've got 25 speakers. I want you to, what's your topic that you're going to choose? And I also want you to do your catwalking thing where you get, you divide up the room and you get them all to rock their walk and pose like a pro. And I'm like, holy moly, how do I tell my story and integrate what the topic was? And I was like, oh, I know, what I'm really passionate about is how to turn your pain into purpose. Because I always sort of say that if people actually ask me what I do, it's kind of like explaining Pulp Fiction meets The Matrix meets it can't be done in one sentence, right? And then of course, I always sort of say, really, if I really help people, what I help people with is I help people how to turn their crap into fertilizer, because you can't stop the crap from landing, in your front yard, right at your doorstep, in your face. It is never going to happen with life. And case in point, what's happening with COVID-19. Then the next part is that we have to turn it into fertilizer, which is actually our choice, because we can't stop the crap from happening, but we can, choose to transmute it, into something that can serve not only us, but humanity, humankind, the world. It's such a big thing at the moment, like how can we help other people help themselves? And then, of course, the next part was the first thing that you need to do if you want to turn your crap into fertilizer, if you want to turn your pain into purpose, is you need to build your confidence. You need to, layer and layer and upon layer upon layer upon layer, build your confidence up until you master it. So that's kind of a little bit about, sort of me in a nutshell. Yeah. With regards to my story, it's a massive one, sexual abuse for 8 years by 7 perpetrators. 7 years with 8 perpetrators between the age of 8 and 15. Left home and school at 15 with 2 years high school education. Under my belt, didn't sit one day off 5th form. Domestic violence, dogs thrown across the room. That's the once we're warriors part, of my kind of script, if you like. And a whole lot more. My grandmother lost 2 sons out of 3. One was 13 years old. Her first son was killed, knocked off his bike right outside their house by a drunk driver. And the second son was my father, who was 35 when he died from leukemia. So he was told that he would only have a few months to live, you know, and he managed to make it last for 5 years. I didn't get to go to his funeral, and my name's on it, not on his gravestone, as if I haven't existed, but his ex-wife is, because he left us when I was 2 and my brother was 8 weeks old. So you kind of, I used to wonder why all this stuff used to happen to me, all this crap, you know, all the time used to happen to me. And it was when my grandmother saved my life, you know, with a modeling course voucher at 17 years old. Well, actually, it was for my 17th birthday, and she suspiciously gave it to me early. It was an envelope that I thought was full of cash, ripped it open, and the congratulations across it. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Where is my money? There is no money with congratulations on it.
Yes.
And it was, you are enrolled in a modeling course.
Wow.
And it ended up being the very thing that absolutely saved my life. And I have to be honest, I feel a little bit like the same, that COVID-19 is a really amazing opportunity for us. But before I sort of get into that a little bit more, I ended up, you know, that saved my life, and I became a model. And I worked my ass off. I got a $5,000 TV commercial for my 17th birthday. It's like, woohoo, what a way.
There's your money.
You know, what a way to spend your birthday. It's like, I bought heaps of drugs and heaps of cigarettes and ate way too much food. Then I got a second job, and I thought, well, I should give up the pies, because that's like, you know, I got $6.5 grand for 2 days work. And I was like, okay, I need to change my attitude, you know, like I need to shift myself and adjust myself to fit into modeling. Because I never believed that I would have the potential. I mean, I'd spent most of my life being told that I was fat and ugly and useless and revolting and stupid and worthless. And I believed it, you know, because actually the biggest perpetrator of all was actually my mother. You know, it was maternal perpetration, which is a really interesting thing, because I could take what the men did to me. You know, you can therapy your way out of it. And I did. It was 6 years of psychotherapy and 40 grand later. And I, you know, as a patient, and I cleaned up and I healed a lot of messes that were, you know, put onto me, because I certainly did not ask for it. You know, so I've always had that philosophy that you can't change what happened, but you can change what happens. So yeah, if you want to know what I do, I help people turn their crap into fertilizer. One of the ways I do it, I'm actually a mentor and a coach. And I work with predominantly ex-incarcerated young people and women on probation, as well as women around the world and women in business. I'm really super passionate about women who want to extend their personal brand, because COVID-19, again, we'll go back into that, but it's giving us this amazing, amazing opportunity to turn our crap into fertilizer and to share our stories really openly and honestly, and build our personal brands in the meantime, because there's going to be a lot more online work that we're going to need to do in the future. And part of what I do is visibility is a really big challenge for a lot of women in business. You know, they feel like they've got this purpose, they want to do something with it, but they don't know how. A little bit like what I've done with you. It's like, hey, you know, you're sitting on the edge of the pool, you've definitely taken action steps. You know, Jim Rohn's one of my favorites. One of my favorite sayings is, you know, action changes things. And that's by Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. And it's like, so many people, you know, have these ideas, and we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then, of course, the negative voices get into their head. Well, what makes people think that they're going to listen to me or follow me or be interested in what I have to say? But yet we've been told by marketers galore that storytelling is the way to keep us, right, super connected and interconnected. And, you know, just as much as we might have a great brand, we need people to engage in our stories and to be able to hear our voice. And that's what I'm super passionate about. So what do I get angry about? I love that question. I love that you asked that question. I get really angry about quite a few things. The sexual abuse statistics in New Zealand and around the world, but obviously, you know, taking care of New Zealand first. I'm absolutely, you know, like by incarceration. You know, we are locking up so many people, and a lot of people do deserve it, but there are other ways that we can engage them and educate them. You know, the incarceration system, corrections is always looking for employment, right? But you can't get them employed until you get them educated, and you can't get them educated until you get them engaged. So those are my 3 E's. My 3 E's, that's an E. My 3 E's, right? If you want employment, get them educated first. If you want them educated, then get them engaged. And we have to do that with our own audience as well. So visibility is a really big thing for me. And that's why I do these really amazing jackets. So
I love that.
So we can't just rely on thoughts and prayers to make this happen. If we want to unpick the world, right, first of all, we have to follow our hearts. And all the roses represent resilience and strength, and it goes over through into the shoulders as well.
Beautiful.
And then those little hearts that we also do, but I can tell you more about those later. They'll be coming up on all my Facebook and YouTube and all sorts of things. So this brand is called Heartspeak. So I actually am the founder and creator of Heartspeak Worldwide, and we're a platform that helps people get their stories out, for voices to be heard and for stories to be seen, because storytelling is more important than ever right now. So yeah, we do that by taking upcycled clothing and we repurpose it. So this one, Property of No One, is, if we've got time at the end, I'll tell you the story. It's one of my favorite stories, the Property of No One one. And it will tell you a lot.
I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are like, what are these jackets that you're holding up? So what we will do is let's
do one.
How exciting. Yeah, let's do it. Let's make sure that we've got a little bit of time at the end where you can actually go through that story, because I'm sure that you've engaged a lot of people already. So let's make sure we do.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that there were 3 things that made you angry. So sexual abuse and incarceration. And what was the third one?
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence.
Like mental health is just such a big one for me. I mean, I had 2 suicide attempts when I was 15. One might have been 14 and the other one was 15. The first time I swallowed some paint stripper. Obviously didn't get very far with that because it burned like anything and I passed out. The second time I did a way better job. I did 22 Valiums, and suicide's really, really important to me. My 42-year-old uncle hung himself, and which is obviously devastating. I ended up with a big fat overdose and ended up in hospital, and had my stomach pumped and charcoal pumped into my stomach in those days. And of course I was doing all those things. I wanted to leave the planet because I was like, what is the point, right? Like, if it's so hard, right? And if your mother treats you the way that my mother used to treat me, I mean, she stripped me naked to my socks at 15 years old and made me get on my knees and bend over my bed, and she whipped me with the jug cord. I mean, it's just huge. And the reason I'm so honest about it, hey, and that's maybe something that you could do is like give people some trigger warnings, because I'm not going to lie about it or cover it up because people feel so uncomfortable, which is exactly why I've done these jackets, so that they can tell a story in a way that's consumable for people to hear.
Yeah.
They're also great lead generators. People see them and go, hey, I like your jacket. And then you talk about whatever story you want to talk about there, and people can actually hear what needs to be said, because it's the things that makes me really, really angry, besides all of those things, because I'm working with ex-incarcerated young people. I did a 10-week youth development course in Auckland Women's Prison. I am mentoring very closely, keeping kids out of lockup, of baby prison. And I work with some of them while they're incarcerated, and then I work with them once they come out as well, because the government pays, I did the 10-week youth development course for free. Actually, it probably cost me around about $12,000 to do it. But to have that credibility underneath my belt and notched up is so fantastic. So sometimes you have to pay to be able to gain, I love this whole thing about, like we talk about no pain, no gain, right? No pain, no gain, no pain, no gain. But how about this? How about flipping it around and going, what did I gain from my pain? Start asking yourself those questions. And that's, again, another hot tip that I'd like to offer about how people can turn their crap into fertilizer, how they can find pain in their purpose, is by asking themselves the right questions. So instead of WTF, what the, right? Go WTOH, which is what Robin Sharma quotes, right? WTOH. What's the opportunity here? And that's how I feel also about, COVID-19. So definitely everything that makes me angry, I'm actually doing something about, and I'm really proud of that. I'm getting these people, getting their stories out, and then we sell these things online if people want to sell them, and then we raise funds, visibility and awareness for people, charities and projects. So if a person wants to sell their piece, then what we do is we put a large percentage of the profit back into them to help develop them. Right? So it's got to be into dancing lessons or acting lessons or art classes or art supplies. There's been all sorts of things that we've basically funded from getting these people to get their stories out, which not only helps them with the healing. I mean, do we really want to be spending 100K plus per annum as a taxpayer on people who are incarcerated? Half the reason that half of them are incarcerated is because, again, they need one of those 3 E's, escapism, right? The reason that people get addicted to whatever it might be, drugs, alcohol, food, eating, self-sabotaging. How many of us are addicted to self-sabotaging ourselves, right? We become addicted to it, addicted to coffee, working, whatever, is a form of either escapism. So these are the 3 E's again, entertainment, okay? So they're bored. They're absolutely bored out of their brain, okay? And the other one is ecstasy. All right, to feel good, because they usually feel like crap. So if you can look at your addiction, for example, and go, oh, okay, I'm addicted to that. I got it, right? And we can be addicted to good things. We can be addicted to eating healthy. We can be addicted to exercising as well. And you think, that's okay because we're exercising and we're eating healthy. No, if it's in excess, then you have an addiction problem that needs to be dealt with, and you need to find out, first of all, are you doing it for entertainment because you're bored? Are you doing it for ecstasy to feel good, okay? Or are you doing it for escapism because you can't stand your reality?
And I think when we're thinking about the fact that COVID has shaken up the routines of people, so it has put them in a barrel, they've tossed over the waterfall, and now they're at the bottom of the waterfall now, and they've been told, hey, you're all going to have to get on together now, for the next 4 weeks of your life, if not more. And there's going to be a lot of chance. You've spoken about domestic violence. You've spoken about escapism. If they can't handle that, and I've gone to the shops and I've gone every single bottle of wine or beer or whatever it is. If they've bought cigarettes because they're thinking this is the only way I'm going to be able to get through my day, because I'm going to have to hang out with my family who I don't even know anymore, or who I'm scared of, or who I don't like, or there's such a, I guess it's such an opportunity right now where any of these things can come up. And so what you've done, hopefully, for everybody who's been watching.
All things are going to come up.
That's exactly. Exactly. That it's quite a good opportunity for people just to go, hey, let me just actually ask myself whether or not am I doing anything to escape from anything? Am I doing anything to entertain myself that isn't necessarily going to be on a healthy scale? Am I doing anything that is, for ecstasy side of things? I think that those are really awesome points. And when you've spoken about incarceration as well. I had somebody say, kind of, oh man, it just feels like I'm in jail, and I'm like, oh my God, this is nothing like jail. Hello, like this is really
home with amazing food that I can cook whenever I want.
Exactly, I can actually leave the house and I can still go for a walk, so it's not really jail. But that there is a sense of I'm being closed in, I'm being confined, I'm being restricted. I don't know what to do about this. I feel like my life's been taken away. I don't have my routine, so there is a lot of people. You spoke about turning your pain into purpose as well, that this is also a wonderful opportunity for people to go, yes, I am in pain. Yes, I am grieving. Yes, I am struggling with the change in my routine and life. What can I now do about this? They say that when you're forced to take time to do nothing else except be in your own space, that's a wonderful opportunity for creativity to flow.
Absolutely. It's so funny because you're actually touching on quite a few things that I think are really important. First of all, again, I go back to, we can't change what happened, but we can change what happens, right?
Mm.
I've got some really top tips. First of all, I think the universe is having a laugh at us, right? Because I think, you know, at the end of the day, we all signed up to this. Like, I made this joke at her story, and I know you really, really resonated with this.
Yeah.
And I made this joke that I had this beautiful script, that we all get given this script. And I was up there playing PlayStation, and then Archangel Michael comes in, and he comes in with his hair blowing in the wind, like Fabio, except for there's no wind, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, here's Archangel Michael again. I'm playing PlayStation, right? I'm playing this really awesome game of PlayStation. And I always make a joke that it's like the Hunger Games meets Snakes and Ladders, right?
Yeah, love it.
Right. Okay, so it's like the Hunger Games. You kind of land in this place, and you've got these skills and gifts and talents and things like that, and you don't know where the heck you are, and then you've got these people that are just with you. They're called your family.
Yeah.
And you know, you're born in this place, and you're like, oh wow, what's going on here, right? And you kind of work out, you know, pretty quickly that you can do certain things, and then other people can do other things, and then you got to work together, you know, as a family. And then when you leave, you know, you got to work together as in school and kindy, and you got to keep working together and collaborate with people and leveraging what you can do with what they can do, right? So it's like the Hunger Games, and you know, you don't want a whole lot of people that are really, really good at, say, karate, like you are. When you actually just need a gun, you know,
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like you've got to get together with people. So that's the Hunger Games part. The second part is like the Amazing Race, right? If you thought about every single probability and possibility, that is going to drive you mental. That is going to make your mental health go, and you will be a nut job, right? Because, you know, depression, I always sort of say that if you're driving in a car, depression is constantly looking in the rear view mirror going, oh, there's my past catching up with me. I'm going to go around this way and hope that it doesn't catch up with me, right? Because, you know, you want to drive away from it as quickly as you possibly can. Anxiety is about the fear of the unknown. What's going to come around the corner? Oh, I don't know, the unknown. Oh. So, of course, we've got a whole bunch of people, you know, absolutely soaked in anxiety at the moment because there is a heck of a lot of unknown. But back to the game, right? So if we think about every possibility and probability, we're going to be crazy, right? So the Amazing Race, if you really want to win the Amazing Race, you wait until you get to the obstacles, because there will be challenges and obstacles and roadblocks, they call them, all the time. It's like, whoa, wow, okay, we've got a roadblock. Well, can you go over it? Can you go under it? Can you go around it? Quite often with a roadblock, you can avoid it for a while, but it keeps coming back, right? So you've got to then smash through it. And same thing, you know, with the roadblocks, you kind of go sit there and go, okay, I can't do this on my own. I'm going to need my brother, you know, to carry me through my sexual abuse stage, right? For example. So that's what happens is we have the Amazing Race. So this is what I'm playing up in heaven, you know, or wherever. I are up there somewhere, right? Because I'd say most of your listeners, as in the case of mine, all believe in a higher power of some sort. Whatever you want to call it, it's completely up to you. And then the third game is snakes and ladders, right? So sometimes you're going up and you're like, woohoo! You know, you get a little bit of a ladder and you just like bypass all the stuff. And then other times you get snakes. You're like, damn it, all that hard work, and I'm back down further than what I was before.
Yeah, so true.
When you get to do it again, it actually works out better for you, right? To have gone down the snake and then do it one step at a time until you hit a ladder and you're like, whoa, okay. But you've already, you know, gone through the process. So I'm playing this game up in heaven. And then so Archangel Michael with his Fabio here and the wind blowing on his cloud, with no wind, right? And he goes, guys. Oh, when he says guys, you know, he's got everyone signed up for this job. So he's dishing out all these assignments for everybody. And, you know, he's talking about, you know, okay, so the next one is like, you know, you're going to be born really beautiful. You're going to have an amazing body. You're going to be a kick-ass dancer. You're going to be able to sing. You're going to have it all going on style-wise. You're going to marry a really wealthy guy who's really into your music, and you're going to become a global sensation. You're going to have beautiful, healthy children, you know. And then it's almost like he was turning around, reading, and then kept on adding, and stopped, you know, forgot to stop, and then Beyonce was born, right?
I thought you were going to say you were born.
Right? And then finally he goes, okay, for the next one, we're going to send you to a really beautiful country. It's called New Zealand. And you're going to end up in Auckland and you're going to become a model. You're going to be tall enough, skinny enough, and pretty enough to become quite a successful model. And then we're going to send you all around the world. And then you're going to end up, you know, working as a model agency. You'll get to help all these people. We're going to give you a really beautiful son. He's going to be no trouble for you. And he's absolutely gorgeous. And you guys get on really, really well. You have an awesome relationship. And you know, and then you're going to own your own agency that you're going to found from scratch, right? And it's called Red 11 Models, and it's going to be so successful, and you're going to scout so many people and build people for a living. Like, how good is that? And you're going to travel all around the world, and you're going to go to any fashion show that you want, and you know, you're going to be the queen of the modeling industry, right? And we're going to give you a husband for 10 years, but just to keep it interesting, we're going to give you a wife for 16 as well. And I'm like, woohoo! I'm starting to get interested, right? I'm starting to have a little bit of listen. So he's going on about all these amazing things that I'm going to experience, or that the next person who takes the assignment experiences. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'll pick me. I'll sign up. I'll do you a favor, right? And then while they're strapping me up and getting me ready for my mission, they then hand me the condition script, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. You know, because they take you away so that you don't see the conditions before you sign up. But I didn't know that until I'd already signed up, right? And so I see these conditions stripped, and I'm like, hold on a tick. This Archangel Michael, he's not listening because he's off telling the next mission, right, and picking the next people. Gabrielle, Ariel, Metatron, I've got the wrong script. Right? It says here I'm going to be sexually abused for 7 years by 8 perpetrators, that I'm going to lose my father at 35 when I'm 15, but he leaves us when I'm 2 and my brother was 8 weeks old. It says domestic violence as well. Like, what is this? This guy throws the dog around the house? No, there is no way that condition script matches that story. Like, I'm getting a little bit pissed off here because I could have been playing my PlayStation game, you know, the amazing Hunger Games. Warriors, right? There's a whole lot of stuff in there. And he's adding all these bits, you know, like, you know, your grandmother will lose 2 sons out of 3, and there's all this stuff that doesn't make sense. And he takes a quick look at it and he goes, yep, that's the condition script. I was like, I changed my mind, but it was too late. Going down the tube. And then the 3rd of May, 1968, Amanda Catherine Elizabeth was born. So the thing is, I think we all sign up for this. I really do. I believe we all sign up for this, and we are here at this time. And we can take 2 approaches, right? All throughout time, there have been a lot of people that are like, oh my gosh, the war, they've been doing the Black Death, you know, Hitler, all of these horrible, terrible, terrible things. And this is another terrible thing that is outside of our control. And this time, the whole world is involved. You know, like what they did to African Americans is a terrible thing. And that was only in the 40s and 50s. It wasn't even that long ago. Yeah. Even in the 60s, it was leaking into it, all the segregation. And I think this time, you know, the 70s were a time of revolution, of love, of burning your bras and getting into music and creativity. And everybody was wearing really interesting clothes, and they were all out of it on mushrooms and weed. And, you know, they were all loving each other. They were all interconnected. They had no internet. They were going to festivals through and connecting through music and connecting and through their creativity. And I think it's only taken us 50 years to get to this time when we're back at the love generation. Love is the way forward with this. This is a love revolution. This is an opportunity for us to step up, albeit we're not allowed to go to festivals. It's ironic, because that's how much time has changed in a short 50 years, but we've done the circle back to love revolution. We always complain about not having enough time. I don't have enough time to do that. I'm too busy to do that. The universe is like, Archangel Michael up there with his hair blowing in the wind.
I've got this.
Right? He's like, oh, hey God, do you mind? Do you mind if we actually give them a whole bunch of time? Like they're bloody ungrateful down there, you know? Bloody ungrateful. Do you mind if we give them a lot of time? Great, thank you. Yes. Yeah. So they've given us time. you know, and time. We always talk about, you know, instead of time of exchange for you give me your time and I will, you know, I'll give you, you know, you give me money and I'll give you my time. This time, excuse the pun, it is time for us to give. And I think my beautiful soulmate, one of my best friends, Deborah, just said it. It is time for humankind. You know, humankind. Humans need to be kind. And it is that time for that. And so we're getting a lot of time. So what are you choosing to do? So my big thing is, again, it's all about asking the right questions, right? So again, instead of WTF, what's the opportunity here? WTOH. And it all comes from asking ourselves the right kind of questions. So how can I best utilize my time? What do I need to do to make myself more valuable, not only for myself anymore, or my friends or my family, but for humankind?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I also think it's time for us to upskill ourselves. Why are we waiting till we get to roadblocks to upskill ourselves, right? Go online. There is no excuse for you not to expand yourself and extend yourself, stretch yourself. No excuse. I'm all for reasons, no tolerance for excuses. So now is the time to upskill yourself. What can you learn? We can FaceTime. If a friend of yours is a really good cook, great. FaceTime cook each other. That's what myself and Deborah and
I love that.
and Tina, two of my best friends in San Francisco,
Yes.
whenever together, we always cook. We're cooking up a storm.
I love
And
that.
so what
That's
we're going to
great.
do is, I said, oh my gosh, I had, truffle mushroom and chicken risotto the other day. It was actually really easy. So we're going to do FaceTime cooking lessons together. So not only when we get together, I won't have to necessarily cook. I love cooking. It's really hard to get me out of the kitchen. I love cooking as a way of connection. But this keeps us really connected, and it empowers them to learn how to cook so that they can actually give me the gift of cooking for me.
Yeah.
Right, that's the gift. We've got a pretty good deal. They fly me over. I cook for them the whole time. You know, I'm an expensive cook. We always joke about it, but we're going to do that with each other and expand each other's skills. And then that way, Cara can cook for Tina when Tina's back at work, because we will return to normal. The storm will pass. We will get through it. We'll lose a lot of people along the way. You know, we will. That's going to happen. But we're not going to lose everybody. It's highly, highly, highly unlikely we're going to lose everybody. Now's the time to upskill. And it's like, now that they know how to cook as well, they know how to cook chicken and, truffle mushroom risotto, they can make it for people in their area. And if they want to, they can take a couple of meals down to their homeless people. If every single person did an act of kindness for one person, the world will be okay. And every day, if not multiple times a day. So we've been given time. We should be upskilling ourselves. Number 2, absolutely upskilling ourselves and stretching ourselves out of our little bubbles and comfort zones, right? And it's like, we should also be studying. We've finally got the time to study. You don't have to be like me and wake up between 4:30 a.m. and 5:30 every morning, right? So I've got enough time to get my study in, as well as something else. I'll go on to number 3 in a tick. Number 4 in a tick. But we absolutely should be studying ourselves. A channel that I really want to recommend is watch Tom Bilyeu, Bilyeu. He has phenomenal guests. Okay, so educate yourself, because again, if you're being engaged, right, those 3 E's I was talking about, if you want to be employed, first of all, be educated and you need to be engaged. And also, if you want people to buy you and your services and your offerings, because we need other people to do that, then we've got to educate ourselves and become engaging as well, right? So really go on, educate yourself. There is no excuse, right? Come out of this. When we get through this roadblock that Archangel Michael and God and Buddha and Allah and everything have put in our path, do you want to come out of it like, oh my gosh, I just went through the storm? Or do you want to go through and go, oh, you know what? I've got some grace behind me because I'm better educated, I've stretched myself, I've gone beyond my comfort zone. I mean, we know that old saying, your comfort zone's the most dangerous place that you can be. So why the are you staying in it? Okay, why are you
Become a better person.
Yeah, absolutely. And another of my favorite E word, which brings me on to tip number 4, exercise. It is a known scientific fact that if you, I mean, we already know, like they talk about spirituality and people go, well, I don't believe in spirituality. You know, they believe in science. So there's science and spirituality. Science is you need to see it to believe it. Spirituality is you need to believe it to see it, right? What we're doing right now, we have got spirit science right on our doorsteps. We are being forced to look at spirit science right now. Now, the way to really connect, you know, really, really connect with your higher self, with that other power that you believe in, whatever it might be, is through nature and exercising. Right? So I just went and spent another 2 hours in Kendall's today, this beautiful bush, you know, and it rained and it was cold and it was windy, but you didn't hear me complaining. I just went in there and did it. But having said that, I ran through the end of it so that am not susceptible to flu, because, you know, if you're susceptible to flu, it mucks around with the respiratory system, you're going to be more susceptible to COVID-19.
Absolutely.
And that just reminds me, I just thought this was really interesting. Not very many people know what COVID stands for. So the CO is for coronavirus, because that's what it's called. The VI is for virus. The D is for disease. And 19 is because that's the year it was discovered. So COVID-19.
I love that, because I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people out there who are just like, it's called COVID. I love how and what you've just done is you've now educated people. And so I do hope that through everything that the people have been able to actually, I made a note of it, just getting onto YouTube, just Googling a little bit more about, you know, how do I educate myself? What is it that I'm actually even interested in? You know, like, you know, here's Amanda, and she's you know, I feel like I've been told, you know, in no uncertain way, that this is what I'm going to go and do now. I'm too scared to do anything else. So everybody, we're all going to exercise, and we're going to upskill ourselves, and we're going to study, you know, and we're going to get out there, and we're going to really make sure that we really do use time, because we're so scared. Because, you know, it's, you know, in a nutshell, it's just such perfect advice, because we all know that when we're in a place of fear or in a place of worry, or we're out within that comfort zone, that we just shut down everything else. And actually getting outside when we can, obviously within the regulations of how we can do that with other people, getting out into nature has got to be one of the most connecting things. And if you can connect with yourself, then you're able to connect with your family or those around you, and then you're able to, on a greater scale, you spoke about spirituality, to be able to then connect with other people. You cannot expect yourself to connect with other people on as perfect a scale as you can if you cannot connect with yourself and if you don't actually know yourself. And what about if we were to actually use this time to find comfort in that discomfort of being with ourselves, and actually going, I'm actually just going to explore who I am and what is important to me and what does make me angry and what is it that I'm going to do about myself.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think, like my last really big tip I really want to offer is about personal branding, you know, which is exactly what you and I were discussing before we got into this conversation. And I want to give that last gift, you know, as a key takeaway for your listeners as well, and for your audience. You know, this is a really great opportunity for us to brand ourselves personally, right? I don't know about your listeners, but I have a 22-year-old son. One of the things that I've worked really, really hard at is making sure that he is multifaceted in his stream of income. Okay, so that he's not relying on one job, and if something goes wrong with that, if he works with an absolute dickhead idiot, right, that he just can't get on with, that his job and his mental health is not going to be threatened, okay, or jeopardized in any kind of way if he's passionate about what he's doing, which he's very passionate about what he's doing. He's a tech artist at uni, and he's studying tech art for gaming and character building, you know, so because they're always going to need those kind of creatives, right? Because you really have to tap into your creativity. You touched on that before. I'm a big believer, and now's the time to get creative. But, you know, start concentrating on your personal branding and how you can have multiple streams of income. You know, it doesn't matter if there's a whole lot of little makes a lot. Right. So it's like, you know, I like things in threes. So it's like when we're going to talk about R's, right? So when your rights have been violated, okay, which in a lot of ways, our rights have been violated. It's not anyone's fault per se, because we can't sit there and point the blame at anybody. Our rights have been violated, right? Our right to go out, our right to go, clubbing or to restaurants, bars, whatever we want to do. Our rights have been violated. Our routine has been disrupted as well. So that's our second R. Our routine has been really, really hugely disrupted, okay? Been absolutely ripped off its hinges, as a matter of fact, okay? We need to go into reflection. Now's the time for deep reflection, right? And like how, what do I want to look like when I come out of this, right? When this is all over, what will I have wanted to have achieved? And I think, look at that reflection work, really go into yourself. I just did a Insta story and Facebook story about the most important word in the world to me with any interaction and any relationships, etc. And it's something I really loved about you because, boy, I gave it to you. I'm on limited time, and I shot you right between the eyes with it.
I've got a few bruises, I'm sure.
You look way too beautiful to have had a few bruises. See, I know how to bruise without, raising a hand to anybody. Words are powerful, but you are going to be so excited when you go to bed tonight. Your mind won't be able to stop spinning. And there's two things that I kind of want to wrap up on with this one. The first one is the most important word to me when it comes to relationships, okay? Like taking care of relationships, another beautiful, strong R word. And it's any relationships, whether it's in your working relationships, your friendships, your family relationships, your partnerships as well, is willingness, okay? That is at the top of my list. How willing are they and you to step up, speak up, shut up, to communicate, to admit when they're wrong, take responsibility, forgive, accept, apologize, right? Look at your willingness and ask yourselves those questions. How willing am I to be vulnerable? How willing am I to take accountability? How willing am I to forgive? How willing am I to let it go? Right? To let something go. How willing am I to change, to adapt? If you're one of those people that's addicted to social media, and many, many, many people are, and you don't get off it, and there's no reason for you to be on it as much as you are. Your whole business doesn't rely on it. Like my business relies on social media. So of course I'm going to be on it a lot more than my son, who doesn't give one crap about social media. But, are you willing to let your phone go and let everything go and just go and do your reflection work? Now's the time to work. Don't be suckered into fear and, where you are so stagnant or because it's so polarizing right now, so don't get suckered into fear. Yes, you might die. You might. But you're going to way bigger chances of dying in a car accident, haven't you? There's a lot more ways to die. People are dying from suicide. The statistics are disgusting. Suicide, sexual abuse leads to a lot of suicide. Domestic violence, all that kind of stuff leads to a lot of suicide. People are dying at the hands and minds of people all the time. Right? And we carry on with our lives. Same thing. We've still got a plan for our futures, and our future, not, next year and when we retire. We're talking about next week. Okay. What seeds are we planting right now that will feed our future? What will feed the week next week? Will this, do I feed the dark wolf inside of me or the light wolf? Light wolf is love and acceptance, understanding, patience, compassion, and all of those things. Right? The dark wolf is fear, negativity, regret, shame, guilt, all of those things. Those wolves are constantly in a battle within us. We've all heard the parable, right? They're constantly in this battle. And the wolf that wins, you know what the answer is the wolf you feed. Yeah, the one you feed. So which one are you going to feed? So my last wrap up I really want to offer, because I know that we have to be conscious of time, gone way over 15 minutes. About that, not really.
You know what, with you, I was just like, I'm not going to put a cap on this. We're just going to say, as long as I can feed my child dinner tonight, that'll be fine.
I'm starving because I've been intermittent fasting.
Good job.
Fasting is, and you know what? I've been intermittent fasting since I turned 50, just before I turned 50, and it's amazing. It's a life changer. There's a reason that doctor has won a Nobel Peace Prize for autophagy, the discovery of autophagy, which means to eat thyself, when the good cells eat the bad cells. And if you want to know about it, go Google it. I'm not here to do all the work for you. Do it your bloody
No,
self.
yeah,
God, we
she will
know that
make you
you've
do
got
all
to
the work.
die. Yeah, autophagy, so AUTOPHAGY, and it changes your whole body. It is amazing, and it comes from intermittent fasting. Anyway, the last thing I'm going to give as my key takeaway for you guys, and I say this to my own audience, rather than go for happiness, I will never be happy about what happened in my past, about what my mother did to me and what my father did and what what people didn't do and did do, as much as what they did say and what they didn't say. I will never be happy about it, but I can always be in a sense of peace about it, right? Go for peace rather than trying to go for happiness, because sometimes peace is something you can do on your own. My mother died. I had nothing to do with her for years before she died. She was dangerous for me and my mental health, and I needed to protect myself and take care of myself because I had an awesome child that I needed to raise, and Isaac's now 22. And he's a really well-rounded child who has hardly ever had, I say hardly, ever had a hand raised to him. I managed to get one in the snacking bill passed. Not that I want to be promoting that, of course no. I don't. But I did do the whole, like give him a little tap across the bum. And I made a mistake of telling him I'd slap a look right off his face if he ever did it again, thinking he would do it again because, he would be too scared. And he did it 6 months later. I was like, damn it, I have to follow through. So I had to slap his face. And as I said, it was before the smacking bill passed, but it's not something that I would ever do. So from that time, I was like, right, don't make threats that you're not prepared to follow through on. So I stopped doing that. To learn a really great lesson. But go for peace, because peace is something that you can do on your own. You don't need other people to find peace. Find peace with that person that's living in fear, and they're like, coronavirus, everything, COVID-19, whatever. Just let them be, and let them be on their journey. You don't have to be engaged. Just because you get fed it doesn't mean you have to consume it, because what you fill your mind with is what you will be full of. And what you fill your heart with is what you will be full of. So what do you want to be full of?
I love that, Amanda. Wow. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Yeah. In such a short space of time, longer than the rest, I'll give you that. But in such a short space of time, you have put in so much information and so absolutely some triggers, and I will put a warning on it. We'll talk about that later. But that is what makes this such an incredibly powerful conversation. Because if we can not hide behind things, if we can actually take that mask off, if we can lift the veil on what it is that we're really trying to get across to people, and you do this in your own beautiful way, where you are so passionate about turning pain to purpose that you are wanting to give as much information as what you can in such a short space of time, that I'm going to have to put some notes up with you, because there's going to be a lot of people who are just going to be like, whoa, like, that was a lot of information, and I love it. And I've got two things just before we go. One is, if people were to find or wanting to find out more about you, how do they do that? And the second thing is, if you can...
I always forget to say it because I just get so excited in the moment. Yes, please follow me under Amanda Betts, my public figure page, and also under Heartspeak Worldwide. On Facebook. The website for Heartspeak is coming, but in the meantime, I've got so many gems and information that I want to share. You're right, Laura. I'm so passionate about sharing information and people taking whatever they want. You garner whatever gems you like that will be helping you. And if you want to make a jacket with me, we can do that.
Love that.
From wherever you are in the country or the world, for that matter. I work with a lot of people overseas where they make their jackets, and as I said, we make kimonos or leather jackets, denim jackets, all sorts of different pieces. You just have to reach out to me. It's not a ridiculous price. You can't get a designer jacket for the same price as a session with me. Some people might like to be coached by me because they've got a really strong passion project that they would like to get moving and they don't know where to start. They're welcome to reach out to me. And I also want to encourage your listeners, as I will mine, to make sure that they follow you as well. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want. Follow Laura, and make sure you support and encourage other people that are actually getting out there and doing stuff. We've got the time to be engaging, and when you guys engage and you pass comments, I'd love for you guys to put some comments in place and start, keep the dialogue going and moving and open and honest. And that's a really cool thing to do. So thank you for that.
No, thank you for this opportunity.
It's good for me. We've got 7 or 8 pages. You have to sift through
7 or 8 pages. Okay, I love that. Now, I'm aware that I do have a child that I need to feed before my next video. What I would just love is, are you able to spend just a little bit of time just before we go and just quickly run us through the story on your jacket?
Yes, actually, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, because you mentioned it earlier, and I'm like, I want to know the story just really, really quickly if we can.
I love this story. This is one of my favorite pieces. So this one's called Property of No One. And the skeleton, the skull, represents me, obviously, and the death of my innocence of childhood. My mum used to say that kids are like dogs. No matter how badly you treat them, they always come back to you. And she said, you understand when you had a child. And when I had a child, I understood less. Because I was like, man, my kid is not a dog. He is the property of no one. Even though he's my son and I'm his mother, he's not my property. He is on loan to me. The heart here represents my ex-wife. We were together for 16 years. And this represents my son, which was like a lightning bolt that woke me up. The phoenix is for the phoenix rising for obvious reasons, and I chose the sequined one. The flowers here are for everyone that's helped me get to where I am already. The rose here is on the nostrils is my grandmother used to say, don't forget to stop and smell the roses. The pearls here are mason roses, which represent resilience and strength. Like if you listen to the song by Tupac, The Rose That Grew Through Concrete, it's my mantra song. And here represent the pearls of wisdom that I can hear years after she's passed. I still hear her pearls of wisdom in my ears, which is why I'm so passionate about passing my pearls of wisdom on to people. Then on the front, these are the swallows. So birds represent messengers from the heavens. So when you have a dream, like you've got this dream to share people's stories, then you take action steps, right, to actually make it happen, because it kind of comes from you, comes to you from nowhere. Then take the action steps to bring it into reality, which is what these roses down the bottom are. Beautiful. So that's my property of no one.
I love that. Wow, thank you so much for that. You've just got such an incredible way of telling your story and for sharing it. And wow, I think everyone is just going to have to take just a little bit of time now just to breathe. And then I think we all need to go back and we just need to watch this again, because there's just so much in there. I've thoroughly
what's happening in my head.
Sorry,
it's in my head all the time, Laura.
Wow, well, we don't want to be in your head again just for a little while. Give us a moment. Give us a moment. I love that.
Wake up so early.
But I cannot express my gratitude for everything that we spoke about beforehand and everything that we know we're probably going to sum up after this. But I do encourage everybody who's watching this video right now to like and share it. And then when you've had a bit of time to go back and to watch it, and this time be able to pause it as you're saying all your threes, that were coming up, they're amazing. And then make some notes, and then to take action on that and to go, okay, let me just try what Amanda said and let me just see if it works for me. Because what if it does work for me? Then I have this, we're at the start of of 4 weeks of, staying at home. What if we were to spend these 4 weeks working on some of these pointers, right?
Yeah.
So that's my challenge.
That is absolutely guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely. The recording sounded, it went a little bit quiet. What did you say that was guaranteed?
The change. Like we will come out different people after this
Yeah.
4 weeks, you know, that's guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Well, we're going to finish off here. Thank you so much, Amanda. I've really appreciated your time.
Thank you so much for having me, and good on you for getting out there and, you know, bringing stories to the fore. I think it's really, really awesome.
Thank you
Well
so
done, you.
much. Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye for now.